150 down and a dozen to go, and that's why the magnet of this series is so strong.
Get up, ball, get out of here and gone. Teoscar Hernandez. We're going to drive. Then it's gone. Whit Merrifield.
The Blue Jays have taken the lefty deep twice here in the second.
Unchanged, baby. I can't help it, I'm so into you.
Tampa Bay has been all over Jose Barrios here in the early going.
He just has not been able to throw the ball where he needs to get outs.
Oh, when you're ready, we can put this behind us. Baby, we can find us again.
It's going to go off the top of the fence, and it is gone. A two-homer game for Whit Merrifield.
Tampa Bay takes game one, get rid of this one, get it out of the system, still have a chance to win this series.
Mitch White looks so much more settled.
Here's a heater swung on and missed, strike three.
This has been a good effort by Mitch White.
Well, after dropping the opener in a crucial series at Tropicana Field, the Blue Jays have now lost consecutive games for the first time since a 3-game sweep at the hands of the Angels last month. Well, Whit Merrifield and the boys will look to even up this weekend series tonight. Game 2 coming your way right here on Sportsnet. Hi, everybody. Glad you could join us tonight alongside former big league catcher Joe Siddall. I'm Hazel May. Coming up tonight as we get you set for Game 2, a conversation with Whit Merrifield, who is one of the lone bright spots in last night's loss. A couple of homers for Mr. Merrifield.
Tough lefty on the mound, Hazel, and Jeffrey Springs. The Blue Jays have seen him. Very tough on righties, but you got to ride the hot hand. Merrifield's riding it right now.
More on Springs in just a moment. Let's get Joe's thoughts as well a little later on. And Mitch White, who's been recalled from AAA Buffalo, he will make the start for the Blue Jays tonight. So let's set the stage for you guys. Here's where things stand in the wild card race heading into tonight's ball game. The Blue Jays lead down to 1 over the Rays, 1.5 over the Mariners. Toronto looking to avoid a third straight loss. And it won't be easy for the Jays tonight as they will face Jeffrey Springs for a third time this season. Springs has thrown 10 2/3 of scoreless ball against the Jays this season, allowing just 7 hits. The lefty, who turned 30 a few days ago, is in the midst of his best season as a big leaguer with a 2.45 ERA in 30 appearances. Let's send you now over to our Rashman Danny, who has more on the Jays' familiarity with tonight's Rays starter. Arash.
Yeah, I mean, Hazel, it was 10 days ago, right, that Springs went up against the Blue Jays, went 6 innings, didn't give up an earned run in that outing. And Matt Chapman said, look, at this stage of the season, there are no surprises anymore. We know who we're up against. We know exactly what we have to face, and that is somebody who is going to come at them with the changeup. When I spoke with John Schneider about facing Springs, his point was we have to eliminate a pitch or two from his repertoire and look at what Springs is able to do with that. This is one of those scenarios where the Blue Jays know exactly what they're up against, and now the question becomes, with a pitcher who also has a four-seam fastball, how the changeup becomes such a factor.
Not swing at it, or get it in the right spot when you do swing at it. So it's one of those where you know it's coming, or you assume it's coming, and if he flips the script on you, you got to be able to make an adjustment during the game.
Just has really good arm action and good depth and fade. So with a good four-seam fastball that you have to respect. When he gets a good arm action and puts that changeup in a good spot, it's tough. So you gotta just be ready to hit the mistake. And obviously, if he executes that changeup in a good spot, it's been he's had a lot of success with it. So it's just something that has good spin on it, but then it just dies. A good changeup can go a long way. So for us, it's just about really making sure we're getting good pitches to hit and being disciplined.
Shai Davidi is always disciplined on this Blue Jays beat.
From
time to time you are, anyway. Look, the Blue Jays and Santiago Espinal absolutely dodged a huge bullet. You may remember a couple of nights ago in Philadelphia, Espinal swung the bat. Left oblique strain is the diagnosis. He's on the injured list for now, but this may not necessarily be the end of Espinal's season.
Yeah, the Blue Jays really feel that they've got a chance to return. They're going to shut him down for about a week. At that point, he'll start resuming some activities. He'll get a better sense of where he's at, and maybe this is a shorter-term thing. But in the interim, this is why the Blue Jays have made such a point of trying to build roster surplus.
Yeah.
You know, there were points in time when you were looking at the roster, you're like, how are they going to get Whit Merrifield at bats? How are they going to get Kevin Biggio and Raimel Tapia at bats? Well, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. goes down. Now you've got Santiago Espinal missing some time. And all of a sudden, there's a regular playing time for Kevin Biggio and Whit Merrifield, and great time for Whit Merrifield to start turning things around. He's talked about how he started feeling a little bit more comfortable. Now he's getting some at-bats to put that into action on the field. 2 home runs last night were certainly part of that result. So this is one of those areas where the Blue Jays feel they now have the depth to survive these types of injuries, and they don't feel a pressure to necessarily rush a guy back just because they've got a hole in the roster.
Yeah, Merrifield is pumped about this. He said, who wouldn't want to be in the thick of a playoff race right now? You'll be hearing from Merrifield a little later in the show. Mitch White gets the start today. Alek Manoah will go tomorrow, an extra day of rest for the big man, and then Ross Stripling on Sunday. But White has been back and forth from Buffalo. His last outing in AAA did not go well, and the Blue Jays have experimented. They've gone with an opener and then Mitch White, but tonight, out of the gate, they're going with their trade deadline acquisition from the Dodgers.
And there's a few pieces to the reason why they made that call, Arash. And part of it is, yeah, they went through 4 relievers after Jose Barrios had the short start last night. You think about the bullpen days over the past couple of weeks, there's a bit of a toll there. So Blue Jays want to try to ease the load if possible over the bullpen. And then part of this is also just wanting to give Mitch White a clean slate to work with. You know, the Blue Jays, I think, would be doing cartwheels if he could perform similarly to the way he did against the Rays during that doubleheader game when he allowed 3 runs over 6 innings of work. And that was really a demonstration of what he can be, and he's had to bounce back through roles, adjust to a new league, all those different types of things that haven't allowed him to get in the role, but the pieces are there, and if he can establish that fastball, command it well, that's really the gateway for him to have another outing like he did against the Rays last time out.
And if you're wondering about Anthony Bass, who did not appear Wednesday in Philadelphia, John Schneider assures us that Bass is fine, he's healthy, 100%, Schneider said, and they expect Bass to be available, Hazel, tonight.
Arash and Shai, thank you very much. Here is tonight's lineup for your Toronto Blue Jays. The usual suspects at the top of the order, but Bichette up to 2, Guerrero down to 3rd. More on that with Joe in a moment. Teoscar Hernandez hitting 6. He hit his 21st homer last night. He's gone deep 20 times in his career against the Rays, the most against any single opponent. Tapia, Merrifield, Jansen at the bottom of the order. And the lineup will be in tough against the left-hander tonight. Jeffrey Springs earned a win last time out against the Rangers. He's making his 10th career appearance, 3rd start against the Blue Jays, and the numbers are really good. In 20 2/3 innings pitched, 24 strikeouts against Toronto, an ERA just a tick over 2, a whip over 1, and a 2-0 record. Why is he so effective against this Blue Jays?
Nasty numbers that you're rattling off. You need to stop, Hazel. Those numbers were all in Jeffrey Springs' favors. But you're hoping 3rd time is a charm for this Blue Jays lineup against the Rays left-hander. But the reason he is so good, you heard some of the words that Matt Chapman used. When a lefty has good arm action, and it's the depth and it's the fade on that changeup coming off of his fastball. These are pitches that look the same coming out of the hand. And by the time hitters can decide whether to go or not, it's a little bit too late because you have to honor the fastball. It's not overpowering, but he'll use it up in the zone, and that's what sets up the changeup down and away, and it's a very late decision, and you can tell by the swing some of these Blue Jays hitters have taken, and you see this from hitters around the league. He's also got the little slider that he'll run in, and then you try to speed up your bat, and now you're in big trouble because once you speed things up, this changeup plays even more, and that's why I thought some of the things, and even what Schneider said, you pick one, but at the same time, it's hard to pick one because he uses all of his pitches. That these Blue Jays hitters chase Jeffrey Springs more than any pitcher in baseball. You see Montgomery, the former Yankee that they have seen, but 43% he chases, and it's the changeup. And that's the pitch that he is going to use tonight. He's not going to alter his plan. And more importantly, the Blue Jays, you would think chasing is a thing for them. They're not. They're in the top 10 at not chasing, so they're actually pretty good. But when they do chase, you'd think it'd be like righty sliders, righty breaking balls, because we feel like we see that all the time. But guess what it is, Hazel? It's the lefty off speed. It's the changeup. It's what we are going to see tonight. And that's why this game plan is going to be so critical. It's way easier said than done. Every single Blue Jays hitter, including Chapman, who we heard from with the rash there, they know what they have to do against Jeffrey Springs, but it's very difficult to do that. You tip your hat to a pitcher who's doing very well this year at keeping hitters off balance.
And maybe that's why John Schneider flipped Bichette and Guerrero, possibly. You did a couple of demos on Vladdy recently, but you didn't see much of a difference.
Not seeing a whole lot of change yet, Hazel. He can run into one once in a while because he's so darn good. And when you change the lineup like this isn't to get Vladdy going. This is to try to get your best hitters up there at the top of the lineup. In the 8th inning of a tie game, when that lineup turns over, you want Springer, you want Bo. I agree with this. I think it was time to make this change, and I applaud Schneider for doing it. Not easy to do with your young superstar in Vladdy, but you get the best hitters up there now.
Yeah, Bo, 2 for 4 last night. He now has 51 multi-hit games this season. Time to step away for just a moment. We're going to catch our breath. When we return, Joe will weigh in on Mitch White, what to expect from the right-hander tonight, and a look at who will be facing. Will Yandy Diaz be back? Find out when Blue Jay Central and Bo Bichette returns after this.